Yo, what is going on, you guys? It's your boy King Sanders here, and we are back with another day of sports betting. This is going to be for March Madness, the first day of March Madness, Thursday, March 17th, slate of college basketball games. I'm super excited to hop into it. Obviously, this is what everybody is waiting for. We have a fantastic slate on, a full slate of games, and I think that we have some absolute gems here. I love all of my plays, and we finished off the regular season and like the conference play and stuff like that. We finished it off really strong, to be honest. So hopefully we can continue it into these March Madness plays. So this is going to be for Thursday's slate of games. So we don't have anything to recap. So first things first, I did just want to go ahead and say at the time of recording this video, we are on the road to 6,000 subscribers. We are less than 400 away at the time of recording this video. I'd love to be able to hit that by the end of March. That is kind of my goal, so let's go ahead and try to do that. Next, I did just want to give a quick shout out here to all of our members. Thank you guys so much for everything that you guys do, and thank you so much for giving such a small channel such a big chance. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and hop into it. Our first play of the day: New Mexico State plus 6.5 versus Yukon. New Mexico State is 4-0 against the spread as an underdog this year. So anytime that they are the underdog, they love to prove these books wrong. And I think that this is another great spot for it, truly. Also, New Mexico State, they have covered in 3 straight games, and they have covered in 5 of their last 7. So they are red hot as of recently. And New Mexico State, following a win, which they did have recently, they are 12-10 against the spread following a win. So they take a lot of this momentum that they do have, and they love to keep it going. So I think that we see a ton of value here for a team like New Mexico State. I just think that this line should be just a little bit lower. I'm not saying that they should be favored or anything, but I do think that it should be just a little bit lower. And Yukon, on the flip side of things, they have only covered in 3 of their last 14 games. Yes, no, that is not a typo. They have only covered in 3 of their last 14 games. And I just think that we see a ton of value here for a team that has been kind of up and down, to be honest. They're a good win-loss team. Don't get me wrong. They are a very good win-loss team. But I just think that in this situation that we see a little bit of an advantage. And Yukon, they are coming off of the most recent loss that they did have, and they were just 3-5 against the spread following a loss. And on a neutral site this year, the New Mexico State, they are actually 4-1 against the spread on neutral site games. So I think once again we see a ton of value here for a very good neutral site team. And Yukon is only 13-18-1 against the spread this year. So I do think that we see a ton of value here at 6.5. I think that this is playable down to about plus 5.5. And I think that this is one of those games that could potentially be an upset. I don't know if it'll happen, but I wouldn't be shocked if it was. So that's going to be our first play of the day: New Mexico State plus 6.5 versus Yukon. Our second play of the day is going to be Arkansas minus 5 versus Vermont. Arkansas has been really good to finish off the year recently. They have covered in 2 of their last 3 games, 11 of their last 14, and 14 of their last 18 games. A fantastic finish here to the end of the year. And as a favorite this year, which Arkansas, obviously a 5-point favorite, they are 16-12 against the spread as a favorite. And Arkansas, coming off of that really big loss here recently, they are 4-3 against the spread following a loss. And if you look at Arkansas's game log as of towards the end of the season, they had some really great wins and they had some really close losses. So they ended up losing to Texas A&M, which was one of the hottest teams to finish off the year. They beat LSU, who's highly seeded in this tournament. They did lose to Tennessee, but they only lost by 4. They beat LSU again. They beat Kentucky, who's obviously a 2 seed and absolute powerhouse. They beat Florida. They actually turned around and beat Tennessee. They lost to Alabama, but only by 1, and they beat Auburn. So they've had some really solid wins here recently, and they have had some really close losses. So I really love our odds here. In Vermont, in neutral site games this year, they haven't covered once. They're 0-3 against the spread in neutral site games, and as an underdog this year, they are 1-2 against the spread. So I think we see a ton of value here for Arkansas. So we're going to be taking them Arkansas minus 5 versus Vermont. Our third play of the day is going to be Akron plus 13.5, laying a lot of points here versus UCLA. But I think that there's a good reason for it. Akron, they have covered in 3 straight games, and they have actually covered in 7 of their last 8 games. So they've been a really solid team here recently, especially to finish off the year. Covering 7 of their last 8, that's a pretty great task there. And versus ranked opponents, which obviously UCLA is ranked, they are 1-0 against the spread versus ranked opponents. So perfect there. I know they've only played 1, but still. And they are 9-2 against the spread as an underdog this year. So anytime that they're listed as dogs, they love to prove everyone wrong, and I think that this is a great spot here for Akron to do so. And in neutral site games this year, they are 4-2 against the spread, and following a win, they are 12-10 against the spread, which Akron did have a pretty big win in their last time out. So I definitely could see this game being a lot closer than 13.5. I think that is just way too big of a spread. UCLA in neutral site games, they are only just 2-3 against the spread. And UCLA, they haven't played since March 12th, so they will be having a lot of time off. And UCLA, with 4 or more days off, they are just 4-5 against the spread. They really let that rest get to them, and so I do think we see a ton of value here for Akron, who is obviously 13.5-point dogs. I just think that's way too many points, especially in the first round, where a very good Akron team is going up against a UCLA team who's been decent, but I just don't think that they've been an absolute lock for anything. So that's going to be our third play of the day, Akron plus 13.5. Then our fourth and final play of the day, we're going to be taking Creighton plus 2 versus San Diego State. Now, if you guys watched my bracket video, I love Creighton this year. Absolutely love Creighton. Creighton is coming off of 3 straight covers, and they have covered in 4 of their last 5 games, so really great to finish off the year. And then obviously this is a neutral site game, and they've been really good in neutral site games. They are 5-2 against the spread in neutral site games. Like I said, it's a ton of value here for a Creighton team who could easily be favored in this game, for sure. And as an underdog this year, Creighton is 12-5 against the spread. Once again, love to prove people wrong whenever they are listed as underdogs. And following a loss, which Creighton did have a pretty bad loss in their last game out, but following a loss, they're 6-3 against the spread. So I think that they're gonna get back on the San Diego State team. I think that coming off of that huge loss, they're really gonna take this one personal. Now it's the big dance, it's the tournament. Everybody's gonna be geared up and ready to go. So they're 6-3 against the spread after a loss. Now, on the flip side of things, San Diego State, they have started to struggle just a little bit. I'm not overreacting or anything. I still think San Diego State's a good team, but they have only covered in 2 of their last 5 games against quality opponents, and they are just 5-6 against the spread in non-conference games. So, honestly, they just love to beat up on teams in their conference. They've had a great year against teams within their conference, but when it comes to teams that aren't in the conference, they've kind of struggled against it, and I think that Creighton is going to be another team that is going to give them some problems. So we're going to be taking that for our final play, Creighton plus 2 versus San Diego State. So that is going to do it for today's video. If you guys did enjoy, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell so you guys know whenever I post. I will be posting 2 videos a day here for March Madness, so make sure you guys are tuned in for those. So these were my college picks for the day. Make sure you guys do check out my NBA plays for the day as well. We have a great slate of NBA, but unfortunately for Thursday, we only have 1 game, so there won't be a lot going on, but I will still be posting a very short video about it. So that is going to do it for me. This is King Sarah signing out. Peace.